Welcome to Founders Future, a podcast powered by Closers.io, where we explore the journeys of innovative entrepreneurs and the road ahead for them and their companies. I'm your host, Milan Kohut, and in each episode, we uncover the stories behind impactful ventures, the challenges faced, the lessons learned, and the strategies fueling future growth. Today, I'm absolutely thrilled to be joined by Evie Stanway, an award-winning breakup and divorce coach, psychotherapist, author, course creator, and keynote speaker with over 25 years of experience. She specializes in supporting individuals through the emotional and practical challenges of divorce and separation, particularly focusing on healing from toxic relationships, co-parenting, and narcissistic abuse. Evie combines psychotherapy and coaching techniques to empower her clients to regain control and confidence in their lives. With that being said, Evie, let me officially welcome you to Founders Future.
Thank you very much for having me here today.
It's exciting. This is going to be a great conversation. So we're going to dive right into it. What I love to do at the beginning of every single episode is a bit of traveling back in time. So before you even had your practice, your company, what is it that you did before and what was the motivation for starting the business?
So I had a complicated upbringing. I went to lots of different schools and I had a very broken up background. And when I was 21, made it to university, I started out studying politics and then accidentally had to do philosophy. And it was there that I really studied and realized that what I was interested in was the way we think and the way we talk and how those two things go together. And from that age, my line, if you look back, has always been how do we think? How do we express ourselves in words? And really, that is the foundation of everything I do to this day. It weirdly hasn't changed. It's still the same thing.
Just sticking to it throughout the whole journey.
By accident. I didn't mean to, but when I look back, I can see it's just been one river, you know?
Yeah, that's amazing though. Let's talk about where this journey overall got you. If you reflect on what the business really looks like today,
Mm,
what I'm trying to do in this part of the podcast is get
mm,
the listeners close to, first of all, who it is exactly that you're trying to help right now. But
mm.
also, what are those core offerings that you have in place for your clients? So tell us all about that.
So, do you want me to go back a little bit on how I built the business or?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I, going from my love of philosophy, started understanding psychology and hypnotherapy and became a hypnotherapist and a psychotherapist because that seemed like a good place to explore talking and language. And when I'd started to realize an awful lot of troubles happen during separation and divorce. A lot of people would come with anxieties that related to their parents breaking up. So I became more and more interested in what happens in family homes during relationship breakdown. And although it's very easy to call people names, the reality it's about human communication and connection breaking down. So I started to do more and more relationship work and then decided actually the place to go was where relationships really break down, which is in separation and divorce. And so I shifted my business that I started 25 years ago as a psychotherapist, hypnotherapist. I shifted it really the 2 years ago. I went, no, I'm a divorce and breakup coach. But what my offering is now, because weirdly, I do a lot of work saving relationships because whether or not a marriage is saved, the relationship can still be saved. So, what I offer people now is either high intensity one to one coaching when they're really going through some kind of awful time, usually in chunks of 3 or 6 months. Sometimes people just need a phone call or one session because they want to straight out a particular difficult conversation that they've got with a supplier or perhaps with themselves and their own mindset. That's quite common. And I also go into smaller business organizations and actually schools and educational establishments to talk about how we tackle those difficult conversations. And a difficult conversation is not about a big topic. A difficult conversation is how do you get somebody to arrive at the office on time and not 5 minutes late every single day? How do you get somebody to put the cup in the dishwasher, not next to the dishwasher. And these are the conversations that are breaking relationships and damaging lives. And did I work with a couple recently on their ongoing 15-year argument about the spare room being too full of stuff, and one person wanted it cleared out and the other person didn't. And these conversations, they cause they cause damage in relationships. So that's what I offer people. Yes, it's divorce and breakup coaching, but most of what I do is offer people a proved, practiced method for dealing with pretty much any difficult conversation.
Yeah. I'm absolutely loving the angle towards what you do because there is a lot of people in your industry who are only focusing on the in-process communication. When, divorce has already started, it's getting ugly, it's getting about money, it's getting about kids. So, but in this case, I really can reflect on what you said. I had a chance to work with somebody in the past who made me realize that there is a big difference between communication and effective communication,
Oh,
right? And that's exactly what you're talking about here. So
yeah.
when it comes to the one-on-one sessions, I'm also curious, and I feel like for some reason you mentioned this, but maybe I forgot. But what would you say is the average duration of a client working with you to really go through the whole journey and set them up for success in the future?
So bearing in mind that people come to me at different stages in the process, so that if they're coming to me around divorce and breakup, they may be trying to work out whether they want a divorce. They may have decided they wanted a divorce, but then how do you have that first conversation? I had a session today on that. They may be have it may have all gone wrong, and now they're like, I need some help to start getting it back on track again. Or
Hmm.
it may be they've been through the whole process and they're like, I've got a really fractured relationship with my children now, and I want to know how to have those conversations. So I usually work with my clients, I would say a minimum of 3 months. As I say, occasionally there's the odd single session, which is good for a point in time, but not really the right way of doing it. You've got 3 months, 6 months, a year. It really does depend, but I don't always work continually with a client. So it's very, very common. I think coaching has to be solution focused. I think we don't want mission creep. It's one of my problems with the therapeutic model is that it can be a bit kind of vague about outcome, and we need outcome because the human likes a target. We like a goal. So what I might do with a client is work 3 months on this, and then I'll just go to kind of voice note and telephone, occasional text and stuff like that. And then they'll hit a sharp point again, and then we'll dive in and do a little bit more work. So my feeling is we should look at self-improvement or dealing with issues the same way we look after our car. You know, we go for regular servicing, but we go to the garage when there's a problem, and it's really useful if we've got a garage that we go to, but we're not going all the time, because I think getting into the habit of seeking support around our own life issues is genuinely the most efficient and cost effective way of, of dealing with tricky situations. So I get long-term relationships with people, and I make it a thing that I will never change my phone number, because if you worked with me 25 years ago, you can get me on the same phone number.
I like the sound of that. Yeah, 100%. How would you reflect on this structure that you put in place? Because most of the time when we talk about structures like these, business owners, entrepreneurs typically get very frustrated about the communication with the client. For example, me as a client, I invested into you as a coach for 12 months. Now I realize that maybe after 3, 4 months, I feel like I'm done, but I
Yeah.
paid for 12 months. How do you deal with these situations?
Well, I think it comes down to, I mean, it literally comes back to difficult conversations.
Hmm.
If I say to my clients, they can ask me questions, I make it really clear in every single session. If you've got something, ask me. This is a space where you can. So if you feel, and I have it happen regularly, I mean, literally, because invite this in. If we've signed up to work for 12 months and after 6 months or 3 months, you feel that you want a sabbatical, you want a hiatus, you want to stop, it's fine. I've got other clients who'll come in and take that space. Like, we should never be so clinging on to one client because, well, I've got my 10 clients and I can't let any of them go because then I won't be able to pay my bills. Being an effective business owner is working in flow with your clients. And if you have a client who said, do you know what, Eve, I think I've done everything I need in these 3 months, I'm going to say, well done, bloody marvelous. I'm really proud of you. Good for you. And well done for knowing that you can say that and advocating for what you need right now. Let's just pause it. We'll just pause it. If it comes to paying, I'm not really a great fan of taking 12 months in advance personally. I know it's lovely for cash flow, but it's not something I particularly do because my clients will commit over 3 months or single months and they're committed. But if they want a break, they can have one. I have other people who will step into those gaps. And it's my job to make my business structure should not negatively impact my clients if they decide that they want to make choices. That's the way I see it. It's my
Very healthy
responsibility.
perspective.
Mm.
Absolutely, absolutely. I feel like too many times we're just getting too attached to whatever we figured out at the very beginning. This
Yeah.
is the structure, what it's going to be. It has to be this
Mm.
way, right? But to have the ability to adapt and change, I mean, that's what business is about, really. So,
Yeah, and I would say, I mean, one of the ways that I've done it, and I'm happy to share because I'll always share everything I
mhm.
do, is the model of monthly coaching, with a discount if somebody pays 3 months in advance, or they can have a discount for doing that. That model combined with ad hoc single appointments if somebody needs it, combined, and I think it's really crucial in my business. I have a package which is a smaller monthly retainer for voice note, Voxer, email or text support. So I might have somebody, and I regularly get this, they go, well, I want to move from the high intensity. We move into the telephone and voice note using WhatsApp support. And then if they need something, they might jump onto an ad hoc, or they might say, let's go back to the high intensity, or they might say, you know what, I'm not using that, so we'll just step back from that. So by having a graduated, my aim was to have imagine it like a ski slope. They can go down, but then they can go back up again. But what I want to do is facilitate. I'm the expert about how I do what I do. It's my job to create an offer that allows my clients to feel met where they are.
Yeah. And also talking about this structure, I know for a fact there's a ton of people in your industry who are maybe steering more towards creating something in a group setting. This
Yeah.
is typically for people talking about post-divorce and just working with the mindset and how to live after
Yeah.
divorce. But this, from business perspective, this is definitely effective strategy because it allows you to build something more scalable, right? You can impact a lot of people at the same time. Is that also something that you're thinking about in the future, or what is your
Yeah.
perspective on it?
You think I have a different opinion on that. I mean, I certainly do group settings, and I certainly will, do a workshop with a group of people. For me, I think that I mean, this is me, and this is what I would say to anybody. By having that high intensity work with people, so that you're able to give people that really one-to-one space that they need is important. But then having other offers, I've got a podcast myself, which I'm launching in January. And what that does, so what I want to be able to do is offer education, offer support to people who can't necessarily afford to work with me. They can come on, I've got a course where people can come on and I'll take them through 6 weeks. But in terms of scaling, you know, other than creating kind of evergreen offers or these ways of doing it, I think in terms of scaling, a lot of the people that I speak with, the reality is they're not making any money. Yeah, and they're
Hmm.
scaling because they think that's a better way of making money. Whereas I think it's much better to look at your one-to-one offer in the short term, get that solid so that you're paying your bills, you're paying for your business investment, that you've got that solid foundation. And then what's going to happen is you're going to scale these areas. You'll still carry on feeding in your one-to-one clients because more people will know about you, but what you're then doing is being able to put back with lower cost offers like my book or like, a course that somebody might want to do or a webinar. So I think Gail, and then it's looking at creating a model that you can teach because I think actually that's a really good way of scaling. So that's how I view it. It maybe I'll change that as my business grows, but right now solid financial cash flow foundation with offers that really feed that solid financial cash flow foundation that feed it back in. That's what I think.
Absolutely. Now, if we look at the back end side of the business in terms
Yeah.
of what you've created so far,
Mm,
obviously one of the key factors of succeeding with something like this is having a good client acquisition system in place, as anybody else, right? So
totally.
when it comes to this, what are you doing on the side of marketing and maybe more specifically lead generation to make all of this happen?
Well, I put a lot of thought into this, and what I chose to do, and everybody says build your email list and do this and do that and do the other. And yes, I've got a good CRM. I capture, if people are interested in them, I capture their details and newsletters go out. But actually, the way that I decided to go about doing this was I work with Nicola Rowley, who does, she introduces me to journalists. And what I've done is I've refined my storytelling, standing in my expert voice so that I can become an expert within national media, which then, and also writing a book. You see so many people going, oh, I know I should write a book. I'm writing a book. I'm thinking about writing a book. And then as I'm doing, write your second book, because it's great to have one book. They say about children, if you've got one child, you've got a child. If you've got two, you've got a family. Write, put your expertise down on paper. So the ways that I do it is putting my expertise down in writing so that people can access it as and when they want through blogs and all of that, taking the time, and it does take time to form really good relationships with journalists and media and reach out to people that not for paid media, but for authentic, they're interested in hearing what you have to say. Because lots of journalists are looking at business to business and then promoting what it is that you have got so that people know that you're a recognized expert in your field. But you know what, Milan, all of that comes down to a lot of people I speak to who don't feel that they are experts in their field.
Mhm.
They don't know it. And you need to be able to know that you're then offering people an opportunity to work with you to help them with their problems. And so when we get that mind shift combined with media, publications, yeah,
Yeah,
that's
sounds
how I
like a
do it.
lot of strategic relationships here.
Oh, yeah. I kind
Yeah.
of I think that a lot of people want things a little bit too quickly, but if you're actually willing to grow it, and it's taken me 6 or 7 months, well, yeah, but even more than that maybe, but I've now got good relationships with national journalists who will then ring me up or message me when they want a story on something. That took time to generate, but I went after it in a very clean, honest, knowledgeable way, and that makes a
I'm also
difference.
curious what you think of about the other side of all of this, because I'm sure you know, I
Mm,
know there's a lot of people in your industry who are absolutely killing it on social media, using and leveraging those platforms,
yeah,
paid advertisement here and there, generating a ton of leads that way, right? So
yeah,
that's maybe like a little bit of a more of a like a salesy business type of perspective, but it
yeah.
definitely works and it's faster. So when you think about those strategies, how does that make you feel? Is that something that you're going to explore in
Yeah,
the future or
I
yeah.
think it's an interesting thing. It is faster, yeah, and I think that it can be beneficial once you've hit a certain level of expert voice and really understanding your expert voice. I think people are trying to use social media and paid adverts as a substitute for doing the work of writing their ideas and actually getting their knowledge out there and really showing that they're good at their job. And I think you have to do that before you go out and just get lots and lots of likes on Facebook or Instagram or TikTok. So for me, I'm more interested in growing it authentically because I also think the algorithm on social media, Facebook knows when you're paying for an advert. So it's true that you might end up getting your message in front of lots of different people, whether or not those people are your ideal clients. And bearing in mind that your ideal clients are the people who are binge watching your content, who are interested in what you have to say, who are looking at you across maybe 4 or 5 different medias. They're looking at you on YouTube and LinkedIn and TikTok and, these other areas that I think, yes, you can grow something that looks like it's bigger, but I'm interested in, multiplying my income by 3 over 2026. I did that through 2025. I tripled my income. I will triple it again in 2026, but I'm doing it through that organic, authentic, expert-led. And I think people are reluctant to do that because they don't always believe in themselves. That's my
Very true.
think. So
Very true.
you can get stuff quickly, but it's like tomatoes at a hothouse. They don't taste quite so nice.
I think when it comes to this, though, like the worst thing about organic activities is the inconsistency, right? Like no matter what the
I agree.
strategy is, you can definitely have a good period of, you can have a good
Yeah.
month. There's several
Oh
people
yeah.
coming in, then you can have a string of bad months.
Yeah.
So, I mean, in comparison, like paid ads versus organic, 100% paid ads would be something more just about like working with the metrics, working with the data, having something more
Yeah.
predictable. But I understand what you're saying. Absolutely.
I mean,
Yeah.
I have people in my team. I work only with business. I work with my aim, and everybody in my business is somebody who gets out of bed for their own business. So I have a VA, I have somebody, a publicist who helps me maintain consistency across my social media and also maintain the quality of the content because I'm busy producing ideas and text. I want somebody else who's going to make it pretty and send it out there.
Hmm.
But I'll stand by this model because I think when I look at the growth that I've had over the course of the last year, I know by the end of next year, and with getting the podcast out as well, I will create something that's sustainable and has real longevity. So I won't end up, I massively accelerate growth. I end up not looking after myself. I make loads of money and don't know what to deal with it or how to invest it. And then I end doing what a lot of people do, which is that they kind of go up and then they go back down again because they haven't grown into their success. Whereas and I will tell anybody to do this, I have a very clear 10-year plan and I'm 2 years into it. So I know exactly what I'm doing this year. I know what I will be doing next year, the year after, up until year 8. And then I've got another plan that I'll think of for then. And I think that that's the thing. So I think you're going to need all the Facebook ads to grow it really quickly. If you're afraid to charge, your business model doesn't allow you to have enough money to get help. But you've also got to have an end plan. You need to know what the end looks like. Because when you
Hmm.
know what the end looks like, there's something incredibly freeing about just going for it because you're like, damn, I've just got 8 years left. What can I do? And then I'll have 5 years left. And then it becomes really good fun. Like it just makes my soul sing to be doing this because I know what I'm doing when I'm doing it and I know how long it's going to go on for.
Yeah.
And it's kind of
Either when
beautiful
they
that
want to
way.
do it faster or like
Yeah,
once you really hit those big levels where
yeah,
organic can definitely take you there. But you
yeah,
might hit a wall and eventually be like, okay,
yeah,
let's try something else. I like this.
yeah.
There's a lot of planning going into
Oh, there's
what's
a lot
gonna
of plan,
happen.
man.
Yeah, I love that.
If you
I love
don't
that.
plan, I mean, you've got to be able to flex. I've got it's on my wall. I've got a picture of the Battle of Waterloo, right? And the armies come together. You've got Napoleon and you've got Washington, and there are all the platoons have to move forwards, and it's like a chessboard. You kind of got to be going. There's a podcast, there's a book, there's the one-to-one, there's the course, there's the speaking, there's the thing. Let's get all of those pawns moving forwards. Which one's going to make a queen? Which one's going to
Hmm.
be the one at the end of that 8 years, which is the one that I'm going, damn, look,
Yeah.
and that's what I'm
I
excited to know.
I do have a couple of ideas on like how
Mm,
you're going to answer my question here. But before we wrap it up, I do want to
yeah.
ask you my favorite question ever. So, considering you've been through your own entrepreneurship journey
Mm,
and been
yeah.
in business for some time, if you could travel back though, maybe to the very
Mm.
beginning of this journey, what would you say would be the best piece of advice that you would give yourself?
First of all, I would say, even if it's impossibly difficult for you, put together a 10-year plan. Secondly, and I would say this to everyone, you've done enough training. Like, don't think you need another qualification. Get good at whatever it is that you're qualified to do. That is the thing that I would say because I think I spent a lot of, I mean, I would say I spent 20 years trying to prove I was good at what I do. And what I didn't understand
Hmm.
is the amount of knowledge and expertise we get through actively doing our job. And then the last thing I would say is, and I will say this, Don't offer free services until you can pay your bills and know how much money you need to earn in order to pay your mortgage, your rent, your food, because lots of people are trying to run businesses because they're scared to charge money. And yet there's plenty of money out there and people are very, very willing to pay for a good service. And when we are undercharging or we're not charging, we're undervaluing what we're offering, and clients are going to smell that and they won't value what we're doing. So charge money. You
Charge
pay
money.
for
I love
courses.
that.
If you're going to pay for a course, charge for your knowledge, because it's just not, and that's what I wish I'd done differently, you know.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, Evie, I want to say thank you. This has been an incredible conversation. I'm enjoying myself. So thank you for taking the time today, sharing this story
Yeah.
with me and the audience. And if anybody wanted to get in touch with you, reach out, maybe even work with you, what is the best
Mm.
way to go about that?
Best thing to do is a good old-fashioned website. Yeah. Eve Stanway at evestanway.co.uk, or I am as Eve Stanway in any social media. Just put Eve Stanway in, you will find me. Click on the bio and book a call just to have a chat. I spend a lot of my time just talking to people because I'm interested to hear loads of people's stories. So yeah,
Beautiful. So Eve Stanway on all the social platforms.
basically,
Awesome.
yes.
Now, to our listeners, if today's conversation inspired you as well, make sure to subscribe to Founders Future on your favorite platform. And also, if you're a business owner, more specifically a consultant or a coach, or you have an agency, and you're trying to scale the business and really enhance both your sales and marketing efforts, also visit closers.io, get in touch with our team, and discover how exactly we scaled our company from zero to over 30 million per year in less than 3 years. Until then, keep on crushing it, and I'll see you on the next one.